The moment her 5-year-old son ran past her, grabbed the new maid's hand and whispered, "Mommy, why are you wearing different clothes?" Something inside Vanessa cracked so violently she nearly dropped the glass in her hand. She stood there, 7 months pregnant, swollen feet aching, while a stranger with her exact face smiled softly and said nothing. Her husband didn't look shocked. His mother didn't scream. No one asked the obvious question. And in that silence, heavier than any accusation, Vanessa realized something far worse than coincidence had just entered her home. Welcome to today's story. If you enjoy emotional drama and shocking twists, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more unforgettable stories. And before we begin, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. It had started with a simple doorbell. Vanessa had been in the kitchen, one hand pressed against her lower back, trying to ease the dull ache that had become constant in her third trimester. The house felt too big lately, too quiet, especially with her husband working from home but always busy, always behind closed doors. "Can you get that?" she called out. No answer. Of course not. Adrian never heard anything that didn't benefit him. She wiped her hands, slowly made her way to the front door, and opened it. For a second, she thought she was looking into a mirror. Same dark eyes, same soft curve of the lips. Even the faint scar near the chin, the one Vanessa had gotten as a child, was there, exactly where it should be. The woman standing on her doorstep wore a simple uniform and held a small bag, her fingers trembling slightly. I'm here for the maid position," she said. Vanessa didn't move. Her throat tightened. Her baby shifted inside her, a sudden sharp movement that made her flinch. "That's not funny," she whispered, though no one had laughed. Behind her, footsteps approached. Adrian appeared first. Then his mother, Eleanor, right behind him, her sharp eyes already scanning the situation like she was assessing a transaction. Adrian froze for exactly 1 second. Then his expression smoothed over. "You must be Lena." Vanessa turned her head slowly. "You knew?" she asked. He didn't answer directly. "The agency sent her. I told you we were hiring help." Hiring help. Vanessa looked back at the woman, Lena, who was now staring at the floor, visibly shaken. "You didn't think to mention she looks exactly like your wife?" Vanessa said, her voice trembling. Eleanor stepped forward before Adrian could respond. "Oh, don't be dramatic," she said lightly. "People resemble each other all the time." Vanessa stared at her. No one resembled someone this perfectly. No one. And yet neither of them seemed disturbed. That was the part that made her skin crawl. Adrian gestured for Lena to come inside. "Let's not make a scene," he said under his breath. "You're already stressed enough in your condition." In your condition. There it was again. That subtle way he had started speaking to her over the past few months, ever since the pregnancy complications began. Like she was fragile, unstable, a problem to be managed. Vanessa stepped aside slowly, her hand instinctively moving to her belly. Lena walked past her. For a brief second, their shoulders almost touched. Vanessa felt a chill run through her entire body. Same height, same scent, same presence. It was like watching her own life split into two. From the living room, her son Daniel peeked out. He blinked. Then his face lit up with confusion and innocent certainty. "Mommy?" He ran straight to Lena. Vanessa's heart dropped. She watched as her child wrapped his arms around the wrong woman. Lena stiffened, clearly unsure what to do, but she didn't push him away. Eleanor chuckled softly. "Well," she said, "children can sense comfort better than adults can." Vanessa turned to her, her eyes burning. "What is that supposed to mean?" Eleanor didn't answer. A thin, knowing smile that made Vanessa's stomach twist. Adrian stepped between them. "Enough," he said. "This is unnecessary stress." "Vanessa, you shouldn't be standing this long." Vanessa didn't move. Instead, she looked back at Lena, at her face, at the small, almost invisible scar near her wrist. Vanessa's breath caught. That scar. No one knew about that scar. Not even Adrian. Her fingers curled into her palm. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And for the first time since opening that door, Vanessa wasn't just confused. She was afraid. Because whatever this was, it hadn't just happened by accident. Vanessa didn't sit down. Even as Adrian's voice hardened and Eleanor's eyes narrowed in quiet disapproval, she stayed exactly where she was, her gaze locked on Lena like she was trying to prove the woman wasn't real. But the longer she looked, the worse it became. It wasn't just resemblance. It was precision. The way Lena held her shoulders, the slight tilt of her head, even the way her fingers curled when she felt uncomfortable, it was all too familiar. Daniel was still clinging to Lena's hand. "Come here," Vanessa said, forcing calm into her voice. Her son hesitated. That hesitation cut deeper than anything else. "Daniel," she repeated, sharper this time. He slowly let go of Lena and walked back to her, but he kept glancing over his shoulder, confused, unsettled. Vesa knelt down carefully, despite the pressure in her back, pulling him close, pressing his face into her shoulder like she needed to remind both of them who she was. Behind her, Eleanor sighed. "This is exactly what I was talking about," she murmured to Adrian, not even trying to lower her voice. "She's too emotional. It's not healthy for the baby." Vanessa stiffened. She said, rising slowly. "A stranger walks into my house wearing my face and I'm the problem?" "No one said she's wearing your face," Eleanor replied smoothly. "You're exaggerating." Adrian stepped in again, his tone firm, controlled. "That's enough. Vanessa, you need to calm down." "I am calm," she snapped. "You're not," he said quietly, but there was something colder underneath. "And this is exactly why we agreed to get help around the house. You've been overwhelmed." Vanessa stared at him. "We agreed?" She didn't remember agreeing to anything. "I didn't agree to this," she said slowly. "You did," Adrian replied without hesitation. "Last week. You said you couldn't handle everything anymore." Vanessa's chest tightened. Had she? The past few weeks had been a blur of exhaustion, doctor visits, sleepless nights, and constant pressure from Eleanor about how she was failing as a mother already. There were moments she barely trusted her own memory anymore. Eleanor stepped closer to Lena, gently adjusting the collar of her uniform like she had known her for years. "What matters is that Lena is here now," she said, "and she's exactly what this house needs." Vanessa watched that gesture, that familiarity, that comfort. It didn't make sense. "Where did you find her?" Vanessa asked, her voice low. Adrian didn't answer immediately. "The agency," he said finally. "Which one?" Does," Eleanor clicked her tongue. "You're interrogating her like she's a criminal." The poor girl is already nervous. Vanessa looked at Lena again. Nervous wasn't the right word. Terrified was. Their eyes met for a brief, and something unspoken passed between them. A flicker of recognition. Lena looked away first. "I can leave if this is a problem," she said softly. "No," Adrian said immediately. Too quickly, Vanessa caught that. "You're not leaving," he continued, his tone shifting into something almost reassuring, but not for his wife. "This is just an adjustment. Adjustment." Like Vanessa was the one who needed to adapt. Her hand tightened over her belly as another sharp movement came from inside. The baby kicked harder than usual, as if reacting to the tension. "I don't want her here," Vanessa said. Silence, then Eleanor laughed. "You don't get to decide that alone anymore," she said. "Not in your condition." There it was again, that phrase, that subtle stripping away of control. Vanessa felt something cold settle in her chest. "This is my house," she said. Eleanor's smile didn't waver. "Is it?" she asked softly. Adrian exhaled, running a hand through his hair like he was tired of dealing with her. "Let's not do this today," he said. "You need rest. Lena will start with light duties. Nothing that affects you. Nothing that affects you." Vanessa almost laughed. Lena standing there wearing her face, being accepted into her home like she belonged there more than Vanessa did, and it didn't affect her. She turned without another word and walked toward the stairs, each step heavier than the last. But halfway up, she stopped. Something was wrong. Not just strange, not just uncomfortable. Planned. She turned her head slightly, just enough to see the reflection in the hallway mirror. Eleanor was watching Lena with a quiet satisfaction. Adrian was watching Vanessa, not with concern, not with confusion, with calculation. Vanessa's breath caught, and for the first time, a thought formed that she couldn't shake. What if she wasn't being replaced by accident? What if she was being replaced on purpose? Vanessa didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lena's face, her face, standing in the doorway, calm, quiet, accepted. The image wouldn't leave her. It sat in her chest like something heavy and alive, pressing against her lungs until even breathing felt wrong. Beside her, Adrian slept peacefully. That made it worse. She turned her head slowly and studied him in the dim light. His face looked the same as always, relaxed, familiar. But now there was something else layered over it. Something she couldn't unsee. Calculation. She slipped out of bed carefully, one hand supporting her belly, and walked down the hallway. The house was silent, but not empty, not anymore. A faint sound came from downstairs. Voices. Vanessa froze, her pulse quickening. She moved closer, each step slow, controlled, careful not to let the floor creak beneath her weight. "She's reacting faster than expected," Eleanor's voice said. Vanessa's breath caught. Adrian asked quietly. "It could be," Eleanor replied. "If she starts digging too much, we'll have to accelerate things." Vanessa felt the blood drain from her face. "Accelerate what?" "She's already unstable," Adrian said. "The doctor's reports support that. We just need a little more documentation. Documentation. Vanessa pressed her hand against the wall to steady herself. She's pregnant, Eleanor said. That makes it easier. Emotional, forgetful, emotional. Shut the court up. Court. Vanessa's stomach twisted violently. And Lena? Adrian asked. A pause. Then Eleanor spoke again, softer this time, almost pleased. She's perfect. Vanessa's heart pounded so hard she was sure they would hear it. She looks the part, Eleanor continued. She behaves the part. Once we present her as the stable alternative, that's enough, Adrian cut in, but not in protest, more like caution. Not here. Vanessa stepped back slowly, her entire body trembling. The wall, the court, documentation. They weren't just talking about her. They were planning something legal, something permanent. She turned and made her way back upstairs, her mind racing faster than her body could keep up. Her hands shook as she closed the bedroom door behind her, unstable, forgetful, irrational. They had been building that image of her for weeks. The comments, the looks, the way Adrian had started correcting her in front of others, subtly at first, then more openly. And she had doubted herself. God. She had actually started to believe something was wrong with her. Vanessa sat on the edge of the bed, her chest rising and falling too fast. No, this wasn't in her head. This was real, and it was planned. Her eyes moved slowly toward the dresser mirror. For a split second, she thought she saw movement behind her. She turned sharply. Nothing. But the feeling didn't go away. She stood up and walked to the door, opening it just enough to look into the hallway, empty, still. Then a soft creak from the guest room, Lena's room. Vanessa hesitated. Every instinct told her to stay away, but something stronger pulled her forward. She walked down the hallway, her bare feet silent against the floor, until she stood in front of the door. It was slightly open. She pushed it gently. Lena sat on the edge of the bed, her head in her hands, shoulders shaking, crying. Vanessa stepped inside. "Who are you?" she whispered. Lena looked up, their eyes met. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lena's gaze dropped to Vanessa's wrist, to the scar. Her lips parted slightly. Lena's voice trembled. "I didn't know you'd look exactly like me." Vanessa's stomach dropped. "What do you mean, you didn't know?" Lena swallowed hard. "They told me I was just going to clean the house," she said. "They didn't tell me whose house it was." They. Vanessa felt something snap into place. "You knew them before today." It wasn't a question. Lena hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. Vanessa stepped closer. "Who sent you here?" she demanded. Lena's eyes filled with panic. "I can't." "Yes, you can." Vanessa cut in, her voice shaking but firm. "Because whatever this is, they're using you." Silence. Heavy, suffocating. Then Lena whispered something so quiet, Vanessa almost missed it. "I think they've been looking for me for years." Vanessa's breath stopped. Looking for her. Her gaze slowly drifted back to Lena's face. To her own face, and suddenly the fear shifted. Because this wasn't just about replacing her anymore. This was about something that had started long before she ever married Adrian. Vanessa didn't respond right away. She just stared at Lena, searching her face for any sign of deception, any crack that would prove this was some kind of twisted performance. But there was nothing calculated in Lena's expression, only fear, raw, unfiltered fear. "Looking for you?" Vanessa finally said, her voice low and strained. "Who is they?" Lena shook her head quickly, like even saying too much was dangerous. "I don't know everything," she whispered. "I swear. I only met them a few weeks ago." "Met who?" Vanessa stepped closer despite the ache in her back. "His mother." Lena hesitated again. That hesitation said everything. Vanessa felt a sharp wave of nausea hit her. She grabbed the edge of the dresser to steady herself, breathing slowly through it. The baby shifted again, restless, like it could feel the tension rising inside her. "They came to the place I was staying," Lena said quietly. "The woman, your mother-in-law, she asked questions. About my background, about my childhood. She kept staring at me like she already knew the answers." Vanessa's chest tightened. "And you just agreed to come here?" "I needed the job," Lena said, her voice breaking. "I didn't have a choice." Desperation. Vanessa knew that feeling too well, but something didn't add up. "Why you?" Vanessa pressed. "Out of everyone, why did they choose you?" Lena looked down at her hands, rubbing her fingers together nervously. She asked about scars, she admitted. "About birthmarks. She wanted to see my wrist." Vanessa's heart skipped. "And?" Lena slowly turned her arm over. There it was. The same faint scar, same place, same shape. Vanessa's breath hitched. The room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were closing in. "They didn't tell me why it mattered," Lena continued. "But when she saw it, she smiled." A chill ran down Vanessa's spine. That smile. She knew that smile. It wasn't kindness. It was confirmation. "You knew something was wrong," Vanessa said. "You felt it." Lena nodded weakly. I just didn't know what. Vanessa let out a slow breath, trying to piece everything together. Her mind moved faster now, sharper than it had in weeks. All the fog, all the confusion, it was starting to clear. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. This was selection. You said they'd been looking for you, Vanessa said. What made you swallowed? Hard. Because she said something, she whispered, before I left with her. Vanessa's heart pounded. Lena looked up, her eyes trembling. She said, we finally found the other one. The words hit Vanessa like a physical blow, the other one. Her knees nearly gave out and she dropped into the chair behind her hand instinctively pressing against her stomach. Other. Not copy, not lookalike, other. Her mind raced backward, digging through memories she had never questioned before. Childhood photos, doctor visits, the story her mother had told her whole life, only child, always alone. No complications, no twins, but suddenly it didn't feel true anymore. You think we're related, Vanessa said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lena didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence between them was enough. Vanessa's fingers tightened against her belly. If this was true, if Lena was, no. She couldn't even finish the thought. Because if Lena was her sister, then that meant someone had lied. For years, her breathing became uneven. There's only one person who would know, she said slowly. Lena looked at her. Who? Vanessa's jaw tightened. My mother. The word tasted bitter now. Untrustworthy. Because for the first time in her life, Vanessa realized something that made her entire past feel unstable. What if the truth about who she was had been hidden from her since the day she was born? Vanessa didn't wait until morning. By the time the first light crept through the curtains, she was already sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, staring at her mother's contact like it might disappear if she blinked too long. Her chest felt tight, like something inside her was about to collapse, but she needed answers now. Before Adrian woke up, before Eleanor decided to interfere again, she stepped quietly into the bathroom, closed the door and dialed. The line rang twice, 3 times. Then, Vanessa? Her mother's voice came through, warm but cautious. It's early. Is everything okay? Vanessa almost laughed. No, nothing was okay. I need to ask you something, she said, skipping everything else. And I need you to tell me the truth. A pause. Too long. What kind of question is that? Her mother replied lightly. Of course I always tell you the truth. Vanessa closed her eyes. Was I born alone? Silence. It hit instantly, heavy and suffocating. Vanessa's fingers tightened around the phone. Mom, she said again, more firmly. Was I born alone? A soft exhale came from the other end. You're pregnant, her mother said slowly. You shouldn't be stressing yourself with strange questions like this. There it was. Deflection. Vanessa's heart started pounding harder. I have someone in my house, she said, her voice shaking now despite her effort to stay calm. Woman who looks exactly like me. Same face, same, another pause. This one wasn't confusion. It was fear. Mom, Vanessa whispered. Who is she? No one, her mother said quickly. Too quickly, people resemble each other all the time, Vanessa. You're letting your imagination run wild. No, Vanessa snapped, louder than she intended. Stop lying to me. Her breathing turned uneven, her body reacting to the rising stress. She leaned against the sink, trying to steady herself. You need to calm down, her mother insisted. This isn't good for the baby. Don't talk to me about the baby, Vanessa shot back. Talk to me about the truth. Silence again, longer this time. Heavier. Vanessa felt it in her bones. Something was breaking. Then there was a complication, her mother said quietly. Vanessa's breath caught. What kind of complication? At the hospital, her mother continued slowly. Things weren't simple. Vanessa's heart slammed against her chest. Say it clearly, she demanded. Don't hide behind words. A shaky inhale came through the line. There were 2 babies. The world tilted. Vanessa gripped the edge of the sink to keep from collapsing. 2, there were 2, she repeated faintly. Yes. Then where is she? Vanessa whispered. Her mother didn't answer immediately, and that silence said everything. You gave her away, Vanessa said. It wasn't a question. Her voice broke on the last word. I didn't have a choice, her mother said suddenly, her voice cracking. You don't understand what it was like. I was alone, no money, no support. The hospital bills, you sold her, Vanessa cut in, her entire body shaking now. I saved you, her mother snapped. I saved both of you in the only way I could. Vanessa felt something inside her shatter. All these years, she whispered. You let me believe I was alone. I thought it was better that way, her mother said, softer now, almost pleading. I thought she would have a better life. Vanessa let out a hollow laugh. A better life? She's working as a maid in my house? Silence, complete, devastating. Her mother didn't know, or maybe she didn't want to. Vanessa's grip on the phone loosened slightly. Did you ever try to find her? She asked. No answer. Did you? A long pause. Vanessa closed her eyes. The pain wasn't sharp anymore. It was heavy, settling, permanent. Someone else did, she said slowly. Someone found her. Her mother's voice dropped to a whisper. Who? Vanessa's gaze shifted toward the bathroom door, toward the house, toward the people waiting outside. I think, she said, her voice trembling, it was my mother-in-law. And in that moment, everything shifted, because this wasn't just a hidden family secret anymore. This was a weapon someone had chosen to use against her, and they had brought it into her home on purpose. Vanessa walked out of the bathroom with her phone still in her hand, but everything inside her had changed. The fear was still there. The confusion, the pain, the betrayal, all of it still pressed against her chest. But now there was something else. Clarity. She stepped into the hallway and paused. Downstairs, she could hear voices again. Soft, controlled, careful. They were still talking like she wasn't a threat. That was their mistake. Vanessa moved slowly down the stairs, each step deliberate despite the heaviness in her body. Her pregnancy had never felt more like a burden than it did now. Not because of the baby, but because of how it made her look to them. Weak, unstable, easier to erase. When she reached the bottom, she didn't announce herself. She just stood there and listened. We can't delay much longer, Eleanor was saying. The longer she stays here, the more unpredictable she becomes. Vanessa's jaw tightened. She's not stupid, Adrian replied. She's already asking questions. Then we speed it up, Eleanor said coldly. The evaluation, the petition. Vanessa stepped forward. For what? Both of them turned. Adrian's face tightened immediately. Eleanor didn't flinch. For your well-being, she said smoothly. Vanessa let out a quiet, humorless laugh. My well-being? Yes, Eleanor replied, folding her hands calmly. You've been struggling, Vanessa. Everyone can see it. Everyone? Vanessa repeated. Or just you? Adrian stepped closer, lowering his voice like he was trying to calm her down. This isn't a fight, he said. We're trying to help you. Help. Vanessa looked at him like she had never seen him before. Help me, she said slowly, by calling me unstable? By talking about court behind my back? A flicker crossed Adrian's face. Too quick. But she saw it. Eleanor, however, didn't bother hiding anything anymore. If you heard that, she said, then perhaps it's time we stop pretending. The air shifted. Something snapped. Vanessa felt it. So say it clearly, Vanessa said. What are you planning? Eleanor took a step forward, her expression calm, almost bored. We are protecting this family, she said. From you. The words landed like a slap. Vanessa felt her heart drop into her stomach. From me? She repeated. You're not well? Eleanor continued. Your emotional instability, your memory lapses, your memory actions. I don't have memory lapses, Vanessa cut in. Eleanor tilted her head slightly. Are you sure? She asked softly. Vanessa froze. That doubt, that tiny seed of doubt they had been planting for weeks, it tried to grow again. But this time she crushed it. No, Vanessa said firmly. I'm not forgetting things. You're manipulating them. Adrian exhaled sharply. He said, You're becoming paranoid. Vanessa turned to him, her eyes burning. I heard you, she said. Both of you. Last night, talking about court, about documentation, silence. Heavy. Adrian didn't deny it. Eleanor didn't react. That was answer enough. Vanessa's voice dropped, trembling with anger. You're trying to take my child. Adrian finally spoke, his tone colder now. We're trying to ensure the child is raised in a stable environment. Vanessa's breath caught. Stable. Her gaze slowly shifted across the room and landed on Lena. She had been standing near the doorway the entire time, silent, watching everything unfold. Vanessa followed Adrian's line of sight, and suddenly it all made sense. You mean her, Vanessa whispered. No one answered, but they didn't need to. Eleanor's lips curved into a faint smile. She's calm, she said, composed, capable, everything a mother should be. Vanessa felt something inside her chest twist violently. You want to replace me, she said. Adrian didn't deny it. Eleanor didn't deny it. Instead, Eleanor said something worse. We want what's best for the child. Vanessa let out a broken laugh. She stepped back, one hand gripping her belly protectively. You think you can just erase me? She said. Eleanor's eyes softened slightly, but there was no kindness in it. Not erase, she said. Correct. The word echoed in Vanessa's head. Correct. Like she was a mistake. Like she was something that needed to be fixed. Vanessa looked at Lena again, at her face, at her life, at the role they were forcing onto her. And in that moment, something shifted. Because for the first time, Vanessa wasn't just afraid. She was angry. Deeply, dangerously angry. And as she stared at the three people standing in her home, she realized something they hadn't expected. If they were going to turn her life into a battlefield, she wasn't going to be the one who lost. But before she could speak again, Lena stepped forward and said something that changed everything. I didn't come here to replace her. Vanessa turned sharply, because the look on Lena's face wasn't fear anymore. It was something else, something closer to truth. And it was about to expose something none of them were ready for. I didn't come here to replace her. The words cut through the room like something sharp and unexpected. Vanessa turned toward Lena fully now, her heart pounding, her fingers tightening protectively over her belly. Adrian frowned immediately, and Eleanor's expression hardened, not surprised but irritated. What do you mean? Vanessa asked. Lena took a slow breath, like she had been holding it for too long. I mean, I didn't know what they were planning, she said. Not at first. Adrian stepped forward. That's enough, he said, his voice low and controlled. You don't need to involve yourself in this. But Lena didn't stop. I didn't even know she existed, she continued, her eyes locked on Vanessa now. Not until I got here. Eleanor's tone sharpened instantly. You're overstepping, she warned. No, Lena said quietly, I'm done being used. The room went still. Vanessa felt it, the shift, not just tension. Something deeper, something breaking open. What did they tell you? Vanessa asked, her voice softer now, but more dangerous. Lena hesitated for a second, then looked directly at her. They told me you were unstable, she said. That you couldn't take care of your child, that you needed help. Vanessa let out a bitter laugh. Of course they did. They said, I reminded them of what you used to be, Lena added, her voice trembling slightly, calm, balanced, strong. Vanessa felt that one, deep, personal, like a knife sliding in slowly. Adrian rubbed his temple, clearly losing patience. This isn't helping anyone, he said. You're confusing things. No, Vanessa said sharply, turning back to him. She's clarifying them. Her eyes burned into his. You've been building a case against me. He didn't answer. Lena spoke again, her voice quieter now but heavier. They also asked me to act a certain way, she said. To be patient, gentle, to step in when things got tense. Vanessa's stomach twisted. To replace me, she said. Lena shook her head. No, she whispered, to prove something. Vanessa frowned. Prove what? Lena swallowed hard. That you're not fit. Silence fell again. But this time it wasn't confusion, it was confirmation. Vanessa closed her eyes for a second, steadying herself. Everything was clear now. Too clear. They've been setting me up, she said slowly. Yes, Lena replied, and you helped them. That landed harder than anything else. Lena flinched. I didn't know, she said quickly. I swear I didn't understand what they were doing until I saw you. Until I saw how they treat you. Vanessa studied her face. The fear, the guilt, the honesty. It was real, but the damage was already done. Eleanor stepped forward, her voice cold again, cutting through the moment. This conversation is over. Vanessa turned to her. No, she said, it's just getting started. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. You think raising your voice changes anything? She asked. The process is already in motion. Process. Vanessa's pulse spiked. What process? She demanded. The evaluation, he said flatly. The court-ordered psychological assessment. Vanessa's breath stopped. Court-ordered. You can't do that, she said. We already did, Eleanor replied calmly. The world tilted again. Vanessa took a step back, her hand gripping her stomach as a sharp pain shot through her lower abdomen. Not the baby, something else. Something tighter. When? She whispered. The paperwork's Adrian filed. Vanessa's mind raced. Yesterday, while she was upstairs, while she was resting, while she trusted them. They'll come soon, Eleanor added. And when they do, I suggest you behave appropriately. Vanessa stared at her, at both of them. Then slowly she looked back at Lena, because suddenly one thing mattered more than anything else. Not the court, not the paperwork, not even the betrayal. Truth. What else did they ask you to do? Vanessa said quietly. Lena hesitated, then her face went pale. They wanted me to stay in your room, she whispered. Vanessa's heart dropped. To what? She asked. Lena's voice barely came out. To sleep in your place if you were ever taken away. Silence, heavy, final. Vanessa felt the last piece fall into place. They weren't just trying to prove she was unstable. They were preparing to remove her, completely, and replace her before anyone even noticed she was gone. The knock came the next morning. Sharp, official, final. Vathas was already standing in the living room when the two officers and a woman in a gray suit stepped inside. She didn't flinch this time. She didn't look confused. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. Adrian moved quickly, stepping forward with practiced calm. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice smooth, controlled. We've been very concerned about her condition. Vanessa didn't even look at him. Instead, she turned to the woman in the suit. You're here for a psychological evaluation, she said, based on a petition claiming I'm unstable and unfit to care for my child. The woman blinked, slightly caught off guard. Yes, that's correct. Vanessa nodded slowly. Then I suggest you listen carefully, she said, because you're about to hear the part they didn't include in their report. Eleanor scoffed softly. This is exactly the kind of behavior we were talking about. But Vanessa raised her hand, and for the first time Eleanor went quiet. Before anything else, Vanessa said, her voice steady, I want her to speak. She turned toward Lena. Every eye followed. Lena stood frozen for a second, her hands trembling slightly. Then she stepped forward. I was brought here under false pretenses, she said. They told me Vanessa was unstable, that I was just helping around the house. But that's not true. Adrian's jaw tightened. You don't understand what you're saying. I understand perfectly, Lena said, her voice stronger now. You asked me to act like her, to replace her, to show that I was more stable. The room shifted. The woman in the gray suit frowned, glancing down at her notes. Replace her? She repeated. Vanessa didn't move. She just let the truth unfold. They plan to remove me, she said quietly, legally, and then continue my life without me. Eleanor stepped forward, her composure cracking for the first time. This is ridiculous, she snapped. She's twisting everything. No, Lena interrupted. Silence fell, because Lena didn't sound afraid anymore. She found me, Lena continued, her eyes now locked on Eleanor. Years ago, she knew who I was. She knew I was Vanessa's twin. She didn't just hire me, she brought me here for this. The woman in the suit looked up sharply. Twin? Vanessa took a slow breath. Yes, she said. A sister my mother was forced to give away at birth. A secret my husband's family turned into a weapon. Everything unraveled after that. Questions came fast. Documents were requested. The officers didn't leave, and Adrian stopped speaking. For the first time since Vanessa had known him, he had nothing to say. The investigation moved quickly after that. Too many inconsistencies. Too many signs of manipulation. Too much intent behind what had been carefully disguised as concern. The petition was suspended, then dismissed. And when the truth spread further, through lawyers, through records, through quiet but relentless digging, Adrian lost more than just the case. He lost credibility, he lost control, and eventually, he lost everything. Eleanor didn't face prison, but she lost something worse: influence, reputation, power. The quiet fear she once commanded was replaced by whispered suspicion, and she could do nothing about it. Vanessa didn't celebrate, she didn't scream, she didn't even cry. Because when it was finally over, when the house was quiet again, when no one was watching her or judging her or preparing to replace her, she just sat in the nursery, one hand resting over her belly, breathing, alive, still here. Lena stood in the doorway, uncertain, not a replacement, not an enemy, just someone who had been taken from her life before it ever began. Vanessa looked up at her, and after a long moment she nodded. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something real. Because for the first time in her life, Vanessa understood the truth. They had tried to erase her, but instead they gave her back the part of herself that had been missing all along. And this time, no one was taking it away. If this story stayed with you, if you've ever felt replaced, underestimated, or pushed to the edge of your own life, maybe it's time to ask yourself what you would fight for and what you would never let go.